A new era in Italian rugby kicks off at the Stadio Olimpico on Saturday. My name is Mark. Let's talk rugby. Italy versus England. So this is on Saturday, the 3rd of February 2024. Kickoff is 2:15 GMT, so 3:15 local time. It's in the Stadio Olimpico in Rome. Last year, England 31, Italy 14. So, a fairly comfortable win for England in that one. And, it was actually, I think, one of Italy's kind of less impressive performances in last year's Six Nations. We're going to have a look at the two teams, starting with the home team. So let me pull it up here. Just give me a second. So fullback, you got Tommaso Allan. Right wing then, Ange Capuozzo. Centres, Juan Ignacio Brex and Tommaso Menoncello. Left wing is Monte Ioani. Halfbacks, Paolo Garbisi and Alessandro Garbisi, so the brothers there together. Into the pack then, back row, Lorenzo Cannone, Michel Lamaro, Sebastian Negri. Second row, Federico Ruzza, Nicolo Cannone. Front row is Pietro Casarelli. Then hooker is Gianmarco Lucchesi, and then Danilo Fischetti, and rounds out the front row. So bench then we got Giacomo Nicotera, got Mirko Spagnolo, Giosui Zolocci, Andrea Zambonin, Eduardo Iacchesi, Manuel Zuliani, Stephen Barney and Lorenzo Pani. So that is the home side. Then the visitors, England. Fullback, Freddie Stewart. Right wing, got Tommy Freeman there. The centres, Henry Slade and Fraser Digwall. Left wing, Elliot Daly. Halfbacks, George Ford and Alex Mitchell. Front row, Joe Marler, Jamie George, Will Stewart. Second row, Maro Itoje, Ollie Chesham. Back row, Ethan Roots, Sam Underhill and Ben Earl. Then on the bench you have Theo Dan, Ellis Genge, Dan Cole, Alex Coles, Chandler Cunningham South, Danny Kerr, Finn Smith and Emmanuel B. Waboso. Okay, so that's the two teams. We're going to have a closer look at each of the teams and just kind of talk through some of the selections, etc. So starting with Italy, fullback Tommaso Allan. He's a decent player. He gives them that second playmaker option coming into the line as well. And we saw they like that previously and actually had some good success with that as well. And, we're going to see how now under a new coach, how that develops a little bit. And, whether it's going to be a case of, using as well. Like Tommaso Allan has a decent kicking game. Italy, previous editions of Italy, especially in the World Cup, didn't kick the ball very much. Whether they can, from full back, use his kicking game as well and not just play silly rugby in their own 22 and concede points that way. We'll see what happens. But yeah, guys, like as I said, he's a decent second receiver coming into the line, a decent kicking game as well, and could really get them just in positions if that's the type of style they want to play. Right wing then we got Ange Capuozzo, like breakout star a couple of years ago in this competition, and the guy is still electric as well when he gets the ball. So he's the type of player, once the ball goes in his hands and he's in a little bit of space, people are going to stand up, take notice, on the edge of the seat kind of player, and it's great to see that. I think every team in the tournament needs somebody like him that just really makes people sit up and take notice, and it's great to see him back after kind of his injury woes that he had last year as well. Centres then we've got Juan Ignacio Brex. Guy is a really solid centre. He's got lovely hands, great offload game as well. He's decent defensively as well. He got Tommaso Menoncello in there beside him too. So we saw the centres there being chopped and changed a lot with Italy over the last kind of year or two. A lot of that had to do with people being injured and stuff like that. But we'll have to see, can they find a settled centre pairing there? So right up, first up, Brex and Menoncello have that chance to maybe show that they're the two to be in there. No, when you look at it, you think if Brex is fit, it's Brex and one other, and then you have to see then how as a combo they go. But it's a decent centre pairing. It's just a case of are the pack going to get them enough territory and ball, and are they going to play in the right areas of the pitch as well, so that they can have impact around the England 22 rather than trying to kind of break out of their own 22. Then left wing, then you got Monty Ioane. So pretty sure he missed last year's Six Nations, come back for the Rugby World Cup. So it's great to see him back in the team for this year. He just gives them a real threat on the wing, because I felt last year they tried a lot of different players on the wings, especially when Capuozzo was out, and kind of both wing spots felt like they were up for grabs for other players, and no other players really put their hand up to say, listen, I can be on the level of those two guys. I think the two wingers that they have starting in this one are definitely their best two options that they have there, so hopefully both of them stay fit for most of the term, because I think they're going to need them as those threats out wide. But he's a powerful carrier and a really good finisher as well, and we want to see him coming a little bit more off his wing and looking for work as well, because that's when he's at his most dangerous. Halfbacks in, you got two brothers, Paolo Garbisi, and Alessandro Garbisi. Paolo, the more experienced guy there of the two, going to guide his younger brother. Like Alessandro's looks decent at 9. I think that 9 jersey is definitely up for grabs. You got Fernie on the bench there, and you got other players as well potentially going to put their hands up through the tournament, depending on how results and performances go. But at the moment, these two are in there. Garbisi, you could definitely see as well, maybe Alan getting it, a shot in there at some point. Capuozzo moving back to fullback, and then somebody coming in on that wing, maybe like Pani or someone like that, coming in on the right wing. But at the moment, Garbisi is there. He has a great chance to show like that. With a new coach, it's a clean slate for everybody. So he has that chance now to say, I'm your 10. Trust me, I'm going to perform, and I'm the one that can help you to develop this team. So we'll see how that goes. Into then the back row, and it's weird because I talk about this a lot though. We don't have a set format for the way we present our teams at all in rugby, and it's so weird. The Italian pack is going from 8 to 1. The English pack is going from 1 to 8. So it's not right as far as I'm concerned. But you got Lorenzo Canone, Michel Lamaro, and Sebastian Negri there. Lamaro, I'm a big fan of, not just as a player, but as a guy as well. I thought, the way he speaks so passionately about Italian rugby and wanting to, to make it special and to make it bigger and to do it for the fans and kind of grow the game in Italy. You can see the guy is so passionate about it, and he's going to be there, for many years. I think after he's retired as a player as well, he's going to be one of those guys that is going to help maybe, go into coaching or go into administration or wherever and just help Italian rugby go on. He's not going to have, his impact is going to last well beyond his playing days. But at the moment, he's a great captain for the team. I felt like the end of days, with the last coach, there was definitely a little bit of tension there. You could see that he wasn't very happy when he got taken off in one of the games, and you could see like that. They were basically, this squad were ready for a new coach, and I think it was kind of the same on both sides. It was maybe like one tournament too much, I think, the World Cup for them, and everybody was ready to move on. So hopefully now that they have moved on, we're going to see the best of this back row, because it's a really good back row. Like, you got Canone in there, you got Negri, and you got Lamaro. They're a great unit together, and if they got front football, some good carriers, some good fetchers there as well, decent link play. Like Lamaro kind of has a little bit of it all there. He has that offloading game as well, to provide a bit of linkage with the backs as well. Then into the second row, you got Federico Ruzza, who I thought was one of Italy's best players last season, so I want to see him come on again this season as well. You got Nicolo Canone, who was kind of in and out of the team. Himself and his brother actually did, Lorenzo Canone as well, were kind of in and out of the team all the time, and I felt like those two, they needed a run in the team to be able to just just they're top quality players, but you'd have like every second or third game it would be like a completely different second row, or one was out and on the bench or out of the squad. So it was kind of weird the way that was. But hopefully we get a run of these two guys together in that second row as well, and just get a little more settled in the pack for them. Then in terms of the front row, then you got Pietro Ciccarelli there. You got Gianmarco Lucchesi and Danilo Fischetti. So could tight head for them, I felt, has been a bit of a struggle position, but that's most teams I think in the world. Like, it's very hard to find a really good top quality test tight head. So we're going to see how Ciccarelli actually goes in the Six Nations and whether he's the solution there. Lucchesi, he's going to give you decent play there from hooker, and Fischetti I thought was one of the kind of standouts last year, not just for Italy but in front row players across the tournament as well. So we want to see him now progress on from that and really show his true ability. I know, not just kind of have like second, third season kind of thing where it happens with some players that have one good Six Nations and then after that then they can't back it up. I think he has the skills, the quality, and he has that kind of high ceiling as well to be able to back that up. Onto the bench then you got decent bench. You got Nicotera there. He's been around the squad a lot as well. So himself and Lucchesi, I think they're kind of probably going to swap the hooker role through the tournament. You got Spagnoli there, who's kind of just coming in, and Zalocci as well. So not as much experience on the bench in the front row for them. So that's going to be interesting when they come on against the England replacements, and let's see who gets on top on that one. Then you got Zambonin and Yachesi there as well. So Eduardo Yachesi, he was they've gone for a 6-2 split, so he can cover. I've seen him coming on in the second row. I don't know whether he's going to come on second row or back row, but then you got Zuliani, who's definitely going to come on in the back row. I think he's like with the triumvirate that's starting with him. That would be like the four main, I think, back rowers that Italy have at the minute. And you could argue, putting him in the team, but it's, for me, it was just the amount of chopping and changing. He's in and out of the team. The same with Canone, and the same with Negri, and not really finding a balance. So they need to find that balance this year. Then you got Stephen Varney there, who could absolutely be the starting 9, and then Lorenzo Pani again. If they decide to move Capozzo back to full back, maybe put Allen in at 10, he could then be in the starting lineup on the wing. But for this one, it's some decent selections off the bench. I don't think it's a decent quality bench, I would say. I wouldn't say you would look at this bench and think, okay, they're a bench that will absolutely turn a game around for you. It's not like a Springboks bench or anything like that. But these guys are all quality players. Some of them are going to be like looking to make an impact in first Six Nations as well. So that's what you want to see, I think, with a new coach, is that impact. Guys coming on, not necessarily having a big name, but putting in a big performance. Who gives a crap? Who knows the name before the game? People will know the name after the game if they do that. Let's then talk a little bit more about the England team. So fullback Freddie Stewart, he's, for me, England's best back over the last couple of years, and there's not even a debate about that in my mind, at least. So any talk about where people were saying, Marcus Smith should be the fullback just to get him in the team. It's like, why? Like, you've already picked out your best fullback, and you're chopping and changing the rest of the team. So why change the one part that's like an anchor in your back line, and just mess everything up? Like, keep the guy in there. There's no Marcus Smith at the moment anyway because he's injured, so we don't have to have that debate. But yeah, until somebody comes along and absolutely blows the socks off a fullback for England, it's Freddie Stewart in there. He does have his drawbacks, but so does every fullback in the world. There's no perfect fullback. and it's about kind of coping with those deficiencies and then exploiting your natural kind of talents as well. So, we'll see how he does that. But for me, he's a really decent player. Then you got Tommy Freeman getting a shot on the wing. Some of these players, the likes of Freeman, maybe this is one shot and done. So he might get one shot in this, and if things go badly for him, you may not see him back in an England squad for a very long time. And that's the thing, I think, with England compared to a lot of the other Six Nations teams, maybe with the exception of France, but certainly more than any of the other teams, that they've got such a massive player pool that players can get one shot, and if things go badly, there's like 5 or 6 players that can come in and have a shot again, and by the time that player has improved, they may not get another shot. To my mind, if somebody like James Lowe, when he had his debut season for Ireland, had been, let's say, an England player, he may not have made it, not because he's not good enough, but because the criticism about his defensive play, like, he was given the chance with the Ireland squad to go away, fix it, and come back and win that place back and prove people wrong. Whereas if he was in the England squad, he might be out and people will be saying, okay, well, he's finished. Now we move on to the next guy, and the next guy scores like 2 tries or something on his debut, and then he doesn't get another go just because of the player pool, not because of talent. I think that's what it is with England, is that there's a lot of players like this who they might get a few tries, and if they don't grasp it, then that chance is gone and you may not get another one. Henry Slade, we've seen him in there a lot. Centre is a problem position for England. They don't seem to be able to find a combination in there, and Slade has been in and out of the team, and we see he's going to stick there. Fraser Digwall is kind of similar to Freeman. He's got this chance here, and depending on how he goes in this one, he may not get another chance in the Six Nations, may not get another chance for England. He might go in there and it'd be absolutely amazing and might be like the best thing since sliced bread for the next 6 months to a year until somebody else comes along. But that's just the way it is with England rugby. You got Elliot Daly there on the left wing. Decent player on the wing. He's one of those, I think, you feel that if they could find somebody that is slightly better and more consistent, maybe he would lose his place, but we're not seeing that player come along to dislodge him, and he's in there on merit, I think. 10, then we got George Ford. Obviously no Owen Farrell for this tournament. He's taking a break for his mental health. Fair play to him, and screw you to all the people who were giving him abuse online. It's not right, and you shouldn't be doing it. And I know you don't give a shit about my opinion because you're an asshole anyway, but players should not be getting that type of abuse. Tell them their shit, whatever, rugby player, but don't get personal, don't make threats, don't go after their family. That's just not on. But George Ford is in there. He's for me probably the best option at 10, and we've seen as well Ford and Farrell 10, 12, and that's probably why they've kind of had that dilemma with their midfield as well, because a lot of the time they have to push Farrell out to 12 to get him in the team. They won't have that issue this time, but can they find that centre pairing, and will Ford make them tick? He's an excellent 10, really good game management. You got Alex Mitchell in there beside him. Mitchell, I think did really well. He went from basically being nowhere in the pecking order, like 4th place, gonna miss out on the Rugby World Cup, to basically being the starter. He just leapfrogged everyone else once Van Poortvliet was out of the Rugby World Cup, and he's really taken his chance, and looks like he's going to do that again during the Six Nations. Front row, then you got Joe Marler there. Wherever you think about like the lip and the mouth he gives, like some people love it, some people hate it, but he's a decent player. Sometimes he can get caught out in his scrummaging, but there are a lot of loose heads around the world as well that can have a bad day in the office, and he's no different. You got Jamie George here, the new captain at hooker. the guy, he's a decent player. He's going to give you good work around the park. Generally, like the line out will run pretty well, especially when you got Itoje and Chesham in there. I think they're like the best kind of locking partnership for that line out to go well too. But he needs to hit his players. We've seen with a lot of hookers, if the darts aren't going right, it doesn't matter how well you're doing around the rest of the park. It's going to affect your confidence, and it will with him too. You got Will Stewart there too. Decent player. Feels like for the England team, their starters and their replacements for the front row can easily flip, and you could see that the three that are on the bench being the starters in the next game. So we'll see how that goes. Second row, as I said, Mara Itoje and Ollie Chesham. I think Chesham has put his hand up as probably the best partner for Itoje in the second row, and Itoje, maybe he's not at the level that he was before in terms of his general playing stuff, but he is a really good player. We'd love to see less of the silly celebrations from him, but that's part of his character, so it's not going to go away. The back row, you got Ethan Roots in there getting a chance at 6. We'll see how he goes. Another one of these ones where, looking good at Premiership level. Can he do it at Test level as well? Got Sam Underhill in there. One of these players who are in kind of a rotation there of, being in favour for a couple of games and then being completely out of the squad. So we'll see how he does. Ben Earl kind of similar at 8 there as well. They don't seem to certainly haven't picked the back row as a unit, and even individuals in certain positions chop and changing all the time. Borthwick needs to, make a decision during the Six Nations, I feel, in terms of who's long-term in his plans for the next Rugby World Cup and who he's going to discard. So this season is probably the time to make a lot of those decisions and then stick with the guys that he goes from there. But at the front row replacements, Theo Dan, Ellis Genge and Dan Cole, as I said, could easily be the starting front row. They're very interchangeable between those guys, and they're going to give you something decent off the bench. Probably going to fancy themselves against the Italian replacements as well, but doesn't always work out like that, right? Then you got Alex Coles there, and you got Chandler, Cunningham South, player who's got a real big chance there to shine, but again, kind of like the guys in the backs that we talked about, you've got your chance now. You've got to take it, or somebody else is going to come in, and if they have a better game than you did, then you're forgotten and you're back to the back of the queue. You got to work your way back up again. Got Danny Kerr there replacing 9. He's going to come on. He's got to liven things up for them as well. He can have some brain farts too, so you don't really want him coming on in a tight game and doing something stupid. You got Finn Smith there as well, decent player, to come on as well to have some decent impact. Emmanuel Faye Waboso, again a player who will get a couple of chances during the Six Nations, but gonna have to shine, or else somebody else will step up and take that chance away from him. So they're the two teams. In terms of how I see the game going, it's hard to say with Italy with a new coach. It was the same coach coming from the Rugby World Cup. I would say that England are definitely going to probably blitz them, and I still have kind of a feeling that England might run up a score, but new coach, I'm expecting at least Italy, a bit of heart and performance, and really that's what we're looking for. Like if they were continuing from last year, they didn't have that disaster of a Rugby World Cup that they had. I would be looking at Italy this year for going for maybe trying to get a win on the road. And maybe getting to that 2 wins. This year, they're definitely going to be battling for the wooden spoon. They may not win any of the games, but it's about through this entire tournament showing progress. So however well or badly they do against England, when they get to that final game, we have to see that there is progress being made with the team, because that's what we need from Italy. We can't be doing this thing of new coach comes in, they have a little bit of an upwards trend, and then it starts going back down once that guy is kind of confirmed as leaving, and then the next guy has to get them up to the same level again. You want to see it where up and down is okay, but you want to see the actual over time general trend of their performances and the results for them going up. And at the moment, you could say they've certainly been better in terms of that over the last couple of seasons, but we still need to see that continuing on. Where we want Italy to get to the point where we're not thinking every year that they're definitely going to be a wooden spoon contender. We want them to be up there in the mix for places from third to sixth at least, and then build on that, and eventually some year they are going to win this tournament. And I believe that. I know people maybe I'm going to be wrong, and like the people that are saying like, oh, they shouldn't be in the, kick them out, will get their way at some point and they'll never have a chance to do it. But I believe if they're in this tournament long enough, they will improve enough to actually have a tilt to the title, and they might have a few near misses, but eventually they will win the title. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you look at Italy's under 21 team, and they are up there the same level as the likes of England, Ireland, France. They're really some great talent coming through there. Doesn't mean that those guys are just going to be superstars of the future, but that's where you look at it and you see that's where the improvement comes from. It's not about finding it one generation of decent players that have a few one-off results. It's about that building that system that can produce those players year in, year out, because that's how you drive your standards, because you have better quality players coming into the team who then drive the standards and set the benchmark for the next generation to come through, and then they have to live up to that. And then the way Italy were playing a few years ago isn't the standard that they want to play up to now, and in the future that standard that they have to play up to is going to be higher again, and that's what we want to see from them. But in terms of this game, I think England are going to win it, and it's probably going to be comfortable in the end. But I think Italy, if they get a decent start, they're really going to make them work for that win.